6 spine-chilling true tales of sinister friends. Unexplained horrors revealed in the shadows. The rain pummeled the roof like 1,000 frantic hands, drowning out everything but Leah's thoughts. In the heart of Maplewood, her quaint little home turned eerie as shadows danced around the edges of her dimly lit living room. Her children, Maddie and Jake, giggled in the next room, their laughter a serene balm against the howling storm. But then came a knock. It resonated with an unsettling finality that rattled Leah's bones. Jamie stood soaked, her vibrant spirit extinguished, replaced by an unsettling energy that sent shivers down Leah's spine. "Leah, it's been ages," she exclaimed, but the joy in her eyes was eclipsed by something darker. Leah remembered Jamie as the fun, adventurous girl from her childhood, the one who climbed trees and sang in the rain. But now something felt off. Dubious distress seeped into Leah's thoughts. As the evening progressed, whispers of missing families swept through the town like fog through the trees. Leah pieced together fragments of conversations she overheard at the diner. An entire family vanished without a trace. A chill ran down her spine, a sensation of being watched creeping in. She glanced at her children, their innocence stark against the warmth of home, though her heart pounded, echoing a desperate need to protect them. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Let us play a game. Jamie chirped, her voice slicing through the tension like a knife. A game of truths. That'll be fun. Leah hesitated, but nostalgia fought hard against her instincts. What harm could it do? As they began to unearth dark truths about their neighborhood, each revelation wove an invisible web around Leah, tightening with every laugh and gasp. A neighbor's car, parked in the same spot for days, suddenly became haunting. A familiar smile from down the street morphed into something grotesque in the light of Jamie's twisted anecdotes. Leah's grip on her sanity slipped, and the room felt smaller, suffocating. The house pulsed with an ominous energy, stifling her home's warmth. Jamie's laughter faded, leaving an echo of something sinister. Leah felt it a predator laced within her childhood friend, cloaked by cherished memories and long-forgotten trust. What if this is who we always were? Jamie mused, what if the real monsters have always lived among us? Leah's heart raced. The words hung between them thick, choking the air. Could she trust Jamie? Was she a friend or a harbinger of dread? The storm outside swelled as fear wrapped around Leah's heart. She felt it an instinctive urge to protect her children, to shield them from the haunting truths being unearthed. Each tick of the clock became a countdown, constricting her breaths. Anxiety gripped her mind like a vice. In that moment of terror, as the wind howled outside, Leah realized the stakes had risen dramatically. The game could unravel secrets better left in dark corners. With Jamie's shadow looming, Leah stood terrified at the edge of an abyss that threatened to swallow her whole. She could almost see the fangs of betrayal glistening in the dark, and the storm raged on, mirroring the chaos within her soul. What lay ahead was a nightmare she had never anticipated, one that could cost her everything. A thick silence enveloped the room, heavy with unspoken fears. Leah felt her throat tighten. What do you mean by that? She finally managed, her voice wavering while she tried to maintain the composure of a mother. Jamie's smile vanished, replaced by a look that was both predatory and sad. Oh, you know the people we think we know. It's easy to hide under the guise of friendship. She leaned closer, the dim light casting shadows on her face that made her features appear sharper, more menacing. Leah's heart raced. This was no longer the friend she once cherished. The laugh that once bubbled freely was now a ghostly echo in Leah's mind. Leah swallowed hard, stealing a glance at her children. Maddie and Jake were still giggling, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing inside their home. But that laughter now felt dangerous, like a signal that danger was lurking just beyond the veil of innocence. She could feel the house closing in on her, the walls echoing the rhythm of her heart, punctuated by the relentless hammering of the rain. "Jamie, let's not play anymore. Why don't we take a break?" Leah tried, but the words felt hollow. She sensed that Jamie was not done. It was as if an unseen force compelled Jamie forward, urging her deeper into the darkness. "Tell me, Leah, what do you really know about the people around us? Have you ever wondered why they disappear? Why nothing ever feels right? Even when you close your curtains and lock your doors?" Jamie leaned back, her demeanor shifting to a nonchalant air that sent dread crawling up Leah's spine. "I don't want to talk about that," Leah insisted, feeling sweat trickling down her back. Panic clawed at her throat, pushing her to take a step back, but Jamie pressed forward like a shadow refusing to be dismissed. "Think about it," Jamie continued, her voice a sharp whisper that sliced through the cacophony outside. "The town is full of secrets. We're all holding unsettling truths, but some of us take it further. What happens when those truths become too much to bear?" A thunderous clap shook the very foundation of the house, drowning out Leah's thoughts, but leaving her with a sense of foreboding. She felt a wave of desperation. "What do you mean? What are you trying to say?" "What I'm saying is," Jamie's eyes sparkled with an awful glee, "some of us have learned to embrace who we really are. The shadow's a part of our nature. Don't you think you can join us?" Suddenly the room felt cold, the warmth of their friendship lost to the abyss. Leah shuddered, wanting to scream but unable to find her voice. She looked again at Maddie and Jake, their faces now shadowed, innocence slowly eroding as Jamie's words unfurled like dark wings around them. "Come on, Leah. Don't let your fears bind you. This isn't about the storm outside. This is about transformation. The truth is much more freeing than pretending." Jamie laughed, but it lacked humor, resembling a sinister chant that beckoned the storm inside. Leah's denial shivered with every beat of her heart. She needed to leave, to escape this spiral of nightmare that twisted around her. As she grasped desperately for the door, Jamie's expression morphed, becoming something monstrous, a demonic mask unhinging from the soul of her childhood friend. "Don't you dare run from the truth, Leah." Jamie's voice rang out, suddenly harsh and unrecognizable. "You wouldn't want to miss your chance to join us, would you?" The words echoed like thunder as Leah, paralyzed with fear, felt the weight of the darkness press down around her. The whispers of the storm grew into a menacing roar, drowning out the innocent laughter of her children. What had begun as a playful evening now felt like a trap, drawing them toward a fate far worse than any storm. In that terrifying moment, Leah realized she was standing at a precipice. A choice loomed before her, one that could unravel their lives. Would she confront the nightmare, or would she succumb to the shadow peering lethally from within the girl she used to know? As Leah finally stole her gaze from Jamie and turned towards her children, dread gripped her heart. But what awaited her beyond the closed doors? Would she find safety, or was it too late? Leah's instincts screamed for her to flee as she turned, but the oppressive atmosphere of the room seemed to thicken, deepening her despair. The air felt laden with unwelcoming whispers, and her children's laughter began to sound like mocking echoes, haunting and distorted. She could barely breathe, suffocated by the weight of Jamie's gaze, now a predator's hunger devouring their shared memories. "Mommy?" Jake's innocent voice cut through Leah's turmoil like jagged glass. He looked up, his big blue eyes reflecting confusion rather than fear. Maddie, less aware of the darkness enveloping them, continued to twist her hair and giggle, unaware of the thin line Leah was walking. Leah forced a smile, but her insides coiled tighter. "Yes, sweetheart?" She managed, her voice brittle. The chill in the room crept into her bones, a reminder that she couldn't lose sight of her children. They needed her grounded. Jamie's presence, now a malevolent shadow, loomed behind them like a ghost rising from the depths of forgotten nightmares. "Can we play the game?" Maddie asked, tugging at Leah's shirt with a gleeful innocence that cut Leah deeper than any blade. "Please?" Leah's heart clenched. "Not right now, sweetie." "We need to," the words faltered in her throat, slipping through her fingers like grains of sand. How could she explain to her daughter that their world was spiraling into darkness? Jamie's laughter broke through, sharp and mocking. Oh, but why not? The truth is the most exhilarating game of all. You've only to look closer, Leah. She cocked her head, a twisted grin curling at her lips. What if the real game was understanding who we truly are? The real you that you've kept buried, the one dying to come out? Terrified, Leah fought the urge to recoil. She couldn't let Jamie's twisted allure seep into her children's minds. No, we're fine. An edge of desperation crept into her firm words, cracking the facade she fought to maintain. The storm outside raged on, cementing her sense of isolation. Are we? Jamie interjected, her tone almost soothing, as if she were pulling Leah deeper into some spellbinding web of doom. Think of what they could learn, the wonders, the transformations. The world is not as safe as you think. The scratch of nails against the walls echoed, made by nothing but the rumbling thunder. But Leah felt each noise as if it were a whisper meant for her alone. Desperate to break free, she backed away from Jamie, inching towards the living room doorway. I don't need to know what you do, she hissed, feeling an icy grip on her heart. Stay away from my children. Jamie stood as a monolith of shadow, unyielding, her voice dripping with venomous calm. Oh, Leah, the allure of shadows won't fade just because you deny them. It's already too late for some things like friendship. The words slammed into Leah, and an unsettling chill wrapped itself around her heart. She had to protect her children, her lifeline, and yet she felt them slipping further from her reach. As she turned to pull Maddie and Jake towards safety, she caught a glimpse of Jamie's face twisting into something monstrous, a flicker beneath the skin that churned her stomach. Maddie, Jake, come on, she urged, but the children were rooted to the ground, eyeing Jamie with morbid curiosity. Their innocent minds were drawn toward the darkness she had been trying to shield them from. Mommy, she's our friend, Maddie cried, her excitement blooming amid the chaos. We want to play. No, Leah cried, panic overpowering her. The room trembled, rattling with an intensity that gripped her bones. A storm brewing not just outside but within the very fibers of their lives. How could a friendly face become a mask for something so horrible? Suddenly, Jamie lunged forward, and the darkness deepened as she let out a low growl. You're too late, Leah. She's already chosen. As Leah lunged to grasp her children, the walls of the room seemed to pulse, drawing them into an embrace of dread. The world around her warped, forming shapes that felt alive, pressing closer, suffocating. In that critical moment before calamity, Leah realized the choice wasn't merely hers. She was teetering on the brink of darkness. With a sharp intake of breath, she felt the terror bloom within her, a desperate fight against the shadows threatening to swallow them whole. Just as she felt hope waning, a crack of lightning illuminated Jamie's features, revealing the true horror lurking within her friend's eyes. Leah's body surged with adrenaline. What shadow loomed behind Jamie's smile? And was there still time to save her children from the darkness that had come to claim them? As the storm outside roared with renewed fury, the answer hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. The air thickened, particles of dread seemed to hang like fog. Jamie's laughter echoed, weaving through the tempest, twisting each note into something sinister. Leah's breath quickened. She could feel the weight of the moment, each second like a countdown as she clutched her children tightly. Maddie, Jake, come on, she urged again, her voice growing more desperate. Jake stared at Jamie, the shimmer of innocence in his eyes now replaced by a flicker of wariness. Maddie, however, remained entranced, captivated by the darkness that seemed to pulse behind Jamie's smile, the promise of hidden truths whispering in her ears. Why don't you want to play, Mommy? Maddie chimed, her tone innocent yet eerie. It can be fun. Fun? Leah shot back, panic erupting over calm. This isn't fun. She's not our friend. A shudder ran through her, words choking on the fear rising in her throat. Jamie's influence on her children felt like vines wrapping tighter, a creeping suffocation that clouded clarity. You're so uptight, Leah, Jamie crooned, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Think of the freedom. Don't you want to explore the truth together? Just a little taste? She stepped closer, a dark energy radiating off her, vibrating in the confined space filled with shadows. The storm outside screamed, punishing the world with rain. Each drop seemed to pulse with the chaos inside the room, making the walls swell and bend. Leah looked around, searching for an escape, but the doorway, their lifeline, made itself as elusive as a fading dream. Every instinct told her to run, yet her children stood frozen, trapped between two worlds. "Please, sweetheart," Leah begged, reaching out to Maddie. The little girl only giggled, spinning further into the darkness. "Don't play with her. Come here now." "Why not, Mommy?" Maddie stuck her tongue out, playfully defiant, her laughter morphing into an anguished echo that rattled Leah's resolve. "Because she's not what she seems," Leah shouted, the desperation spilling over into tremors. "She'll take you away from me." Jamie's eyes gleamed with malevolent delight. They flashed like daggers eager to pierce Leah's heart. "Oh, but Leah, aren't you tired? Tired of fighting the darkness inside you?" Leah recoiled, her pulse pounding in her ears. Jamie's words wrapped around her, whispering tantalizing secrets just beyond her reach. What if she was right? What if a hidden world awaited, a world where pain ceased to exist? "Mommy," Jake whispered, softly tugging at her sleeve. "I want to see, I want to know." "No," Leah shook her head vehemently. "No, you don't understand." The tension snapped as thunder cracked violently, causing the house to tremble under its weight. Then came silence, a pregnant pause that seemed to absorb the world around them. Leah's heart raced as she felt Jamie's gaze piercing through her soul, unearthing buried fears. In that oppressive silence, the lights flickered menacingly. For a moment, a crystal-clear image danced on the edge of her mind. A serene place filled with laughter, where shadows didn't exist. Could it be possible? "Just let them play, Leah," Jamie urged, stepping back, arms wide like a darkened angel. "Let them discover the beauty in the dark." As the lights flickered again, Leah caught a glimpse of the storm outside, raging with a ferocity that mirrored her inner turmoil. Should she let her children take that terrifying leap into their curiosity? But that leap, would it bring wonder or despair? "Stay back," Leah shouted, edging toward the doorway, panic igniting her movements as she pulled Jake closer. What would Jamie do? With each second, the space felt smaller, more cramped, shadows encroaching, hungry. Come, Jamie crooned. "I'll show you wonders beyond your wildest dreams. Come play." "No," Leah screamed, her voice choked with fury and desperation. But she felt her grip weaken. Maddie's smile seemed to beckon toward the pitch-black abyss. And as the walls pulsated again, shaking beneath the weight of the storm, the moment stretched surreal, and fear curled tightly in Leah's chest. Deep down in that moment, before the door swung wide open, what lay beyond that invitation into darkness? Would they find freedom or chains that rattled with every secret kept? Lightning cracked overhead, illuminating Jamie's face, contorted with a glee resonating from every shadow. Leah's breath precipitated, a final gasp before plunging into the unknowable. And in that silent hell, the true game began. As the storm raged outside, Leah's heart thundered against her ribs. She felt trapped in a nightmarish cycle of indecision, staring at the door that seemed to pulse with an unnatural life of its own, each flicker of the lights casting long, twisted shadows across the room. "Mommy?" Jake's voice was soft but filled with a tremor. "I really want to see Jake." "No," Leah snapped, desperation splintering her tone. The words echoed like a gunshot. Her son flinched, as if the sound might shatter him. Maddie, however, twirled, lost in the seductive pull of Jamie's darkness, completely ignoring the danger. With no time to waste, Leah bolted forward, grabbing Maddie's flailing arm. "Don't you dare touch her," she yelled, glaring at Jamie as pure panic coursed through her veins. "Oh, but you're the one holding her back," Jamie purred, prancing away playfully. "You're afraid of what might be, of the delight that awaits." "Maddie, please," Leah cried, her voice breaking, She felt herself sliding to the brink of despair. We need to leave. Now. Suddenly, the air shifted. A chill swept through the room, wrapping around the children like a thin veil of ice. It sneaked in under the door, freezing Leah's breath, an unnatural cold that seemed to come from Jamie herself. Leah's eyes darted to the window, rain lashing against the glass like angry spirits. The storm had picked up, battering their sanctuary with chaotic force. "Maddie," Jake pleaded, his wide eyes reflecting Leah's anxiety. "Please, let us go home. The fun is just starting," Jamie called, her voice syrupy sweet yet laced with poison. "Come play before it ends." Leah cringed as the words gripped her tightly, squeezing the last bit of confidence from her weary heart. She could see her daughter swaying, the allure of Jamie's darkness clinging to her like a thin fog. "Maddie, listen to me." Leah's plea came out as more of a gasp now. "Remember our promise? We said we would stick together." The glimmer of recognition flickered in Maddie's eyes, but Jamie stepped forward, blocking Leah's view. "Promises are meant to be broken, Leah. What's on the other side will set you free. You can leave behind all the hurt, all the sad moments. What if you could laugh? Really laugh?" Leah felt an almost magnetic pull, her traitorous thoughts racing toward that glimmer of comfort Jamie offered a reality without pain. But her maternal instinct raged against the voice in her head. It was wrong, deeply wrong. As if sensing her wavering resolve, Jamie's smile widened, revealing teeth that looked far too sharp for a mere friend. "Trust me. Take my hand, your children could be so happy." Leah's heart splintered. Maddie's hand slid from her grasp, a cruel whisper pulling her in. "Mommy, I want to go with her," Maddie chirped, spinning on Jamie's command, eyes glazed with fascination. "No," Leah screamed again, but even to her ears it sounded weak. They stood on the edge, shadows swirling around them, hearts thumping in sync with the raging storm. The room began to hum, vibrating against her skin, as if the walls were eager to clasp them into a sinister embrace. Jake's fingers tightened around Leah's arm. "Please don't let her take us, Mommy." His innocent voice shattered the ominous grip. Time wavered like a mirage, the door trembling with the weight of what lay beyond. Leah could feel it, a dark, tugging sensation, urging her to surrender. The energy crackled in the air, almost alive, threatening to pull them all into Jamie's world, a place where shadows danced with wild abandon, free from the shackles of reality. "Join us or be forever alone." Jamie's voice slithered through the air like a snake, smooth yet malicious, and Leah shook, grappling with the choice that held her children in its merciless grasp. Jump into the unknown or fight for her family. Lightning illuminated everything just as the walls creaked like wood in anguish, tremors shaking their very existence. In that unbearable moment, as everything spiraled toward an unfathomable choice, Leah saw her out, the only way to save them all. Would she risk it or succumb to the dark? And would it shatter their bond in ways she could never piece back together? As thunder rumbled on, she could only feel the storm brewing inside her, ready to erupt. In an instant, Leah's instincts kicked in. Fueled by fear and love, she lunged forward, yanking Maddie away just before Jamie could twist her further into that wicked dance. The pressure that had enveloped them snapped as if it had been a taut string. Maddie stumbled but quickly regained her balance, shaking her head as if waking from a dream. "Maddie, listen to me," Leah gasped, pulling both children close, creating a shield against whatever Jamie had unleashed. "We cannot give in to her." Jamie's smile faltered. Her once inviting demeanor darkened into a scowl. "You think you can fight me?" Her voice dripped with disdain, each word a dagger aimed at Leah's heart. "I'm only offering what you're too scared to grasp. Do you really believe you can save them?" Leah pressed her back against the door, feeling the rough would dig into her skin. "I will not let you take my children." As she spoke, fear clawed its way up her throat, threatening to consume her words. The storm outside seemed to purr in agreement, whipping around them like an unholy symphony. Jake whimpered, eyes darting between his sister and the striking figure of Jamie. "Mommy, why does she look so scary?" "It's just a trick, honey," Leah whispered, trying to banish the haunting image from her mind. "She's not our friend." "Not a friend?" Jamie laughed, low and sensuous, a creeping chill curling around Leah's spine. Thunder cracked overhead, a perfect accompaniment to Jamie's words. "But I can give you everything, no more fear, no more sadness." Think about how nice it would be in that moment. A flicker of temptation threatened to crack Leah's resolve. The darkness whispered promises. Safety, laughter, love without end. The prospect pulled at her like a tide, threatening to suck her under. But a glance at Jake's trembling form snapped Leah back. He needed her. They all needed her. She made her decision. "We are leaving. Now." Seizing Maddie's hand, Leah began to back away, every step inching them toward the distant light of the hallway. Jamie's laughter rang out, rich and sickening. "You think you can just walk away? I won't let you." The room trembled again, walls pulsing in rhythm with Jamie's fury. Shadows climbed like spiders from every corner, reaching toward Leah, seeking to ensnare them. "Mommy!" Jake cried out as the shadows stretched, gnashing at their heels. Leah felt panic rise again, racing through her veins like a wildfire. Gritting her teeth, she gripped Maddie's hand tighter, propelling them forward. "Run!" Leah shouted. In a surge of pure adrenaline, they dashed toward the door. But as Leah turned the handle, the metal felt cold and unyielding. The door wouldn't budge. Frantically, she pushed and pulled, her heart racing. "No, no, please." Maddie's voice pierced the chaos, edged with innocence. Suddenly, Jamie stepped closer, her presence suffocating. "You can't escape, Leah. You're mine forever." She moved with a predatory grace, her eyes glowing with an unnatural light. "No!" Leah screamed, letting go of the handle to thrust her body against it with every ounce of strength she could muster. The wood creaked and groaned, as though the entire house held its breath. "Stay with me," Maddie pleaded, her voice splintering with dread. Leah turned, catching a glimpse of her daughter's terror-stricken face. Jamie laughed again, echoing through the air like a death knell. A sudden crash of thunder jolted Leah back into focus. As the door shuddered, white-hot desperation ignited. Her heart raced faster than ever. She focused on the light from the hall, the safety it promised. Deep breaths she'd get them through this. With one final push, Leah hurled herself against the door as Maddie and Jake huddled close. A blinding flash of lightning illuminated the room for a second, revealing shadows twisting into grotesque forms, ready to pounce. If they could just break through with everything on the line. Leah screamed once more, "We can do this!" The door exploded outward, flinging them into the safety of the hall just as Jamie's anguished roar echoed behind them. They staggered into the light, breathless and heart-pounding. But as they caught their breath, the air went deathly still. Leah felt the remnants of Jamie's voice whisper through her mind, wrapping around her thoughts like a choking vine. "You can't run forever." Leah peered over her shoulder toward the darkness from which they fled, dread pooling in her stomach. It wasn't over, she knew that. Hope fluttered feebly as she turned back to her children. An unsettling feeling settled in her gut. Just what had they escaped and what price would they pay for it? Leah brushed her fingers through Maddie's hair, the weight of their choice sinking in. There was no way to escape the truth. They weren't as free as they thought. With the storm still brewing outside, Leah prepared for what loomed ahead. Tonight wouldn't end with silence. It was only the beginning. What would come next? Breathless, Leah stood in the hallway, her mind racing. Shadows flickered like restless ghosts along the walls, taunting her with the echo of Jamie's relentless laughter. Maddie clung to her side, eyes wide, while Jake hid behind her, hands clutching her shirt as if it were a life raft. "Mommy, I want to go home," Jake whimpered, his voice shaking. Home, Leah thought. Where was that anymore? The sanctuary of their house now felt like a trap, and the unknown clawed at her from every corner. She struggled to keep panic at bay, forcing herself to stay strong for her children. "We'll be okay," she whispered, but even the words sounded hollow to her own ears. Clenching her jaw, Leah's eyes darted around the dimly lit corridor. The light seemed to dim with every shuddering breath, shadows creeping back from the edges as if trying to swallow the remaining warmth. She scanned for an escape. There had to be a way out. The front door, the kitchen window, but every escape was fraught with Jamie's malevolence. Suddenly, a shiver danced down her spine. A chill that whispered through the hall, "Leave, leave." A sickening thought crept into her brain. What if they were already too late? "Maddie, stay close," she commanded, stepping forward towards the staircase at the end of the hall. It loomed like a gaping mouth, revealing the darkness of the upper floor beneath. The stairs creaked ominously with every step they took, the wooden steps groaning under their weight. Just then, a soft sound caught her attention. A muffled laugh floated down from somewhere above, sweet yet sinister. Leah's heart raced anew, the sound swirling in her gut like a poisonous cloud. She hesitated, glancing back at her children. Fear had twisted into something dark within her, and she could feel their little hearts pounding wildly. "What was that?" Maddie whispered, eyes darting around as if she could see the unseen. "Nothing," Leah lied, tightening her grip on Maddie's hand. She forced herself to move one step at a time, climbing the staircase. Just keep moving. Each step felt like a weight pulling her down. Jamie had come from above. What if she was waiting there still, lying in wait like a predator stalking its prey? Leah's thoughts spun wildly. What if this was all part of Jamie's game? To lure her up to the darkest corners of the house? As they reached the top, the hall extended before them, shadows pooling in the corners like spilled ink. An old door stood at the end, a familiar sight. The attic, the voice in her head, Jamie's, twisted with delight. "You mustn't go up there. You don't want to see what's waiting." "Mommy, I don't want to go in there," Jake whimpered, backing up as if repulsed by the door. "Please," but Leah hesitated, torn between her instinct to flee and an insatiable curiosity. What if there was something in the attic that could help them? An answer, a weapon against Jamie's dark charms? She took a deep breath, reaching for the doorknob. It felt cold under her fingers, the memory of Jamie's laughter echoing in her mind. "You can't run forever, no." Leah shook her head, clearing the intrusive thoughts. She had to focus. She must protect her kids. Whatever awaited them up there, she would face it head-on. With a final glance at Maddie and Jake, she turned the knob. The door swung open. Darkness poured over them, enveloping the hallway in a weighted silence. Inside, the air was stale, thick with secrets. Shadows shifted in the depths, beckoning her forward. The sound of quiet rustling stirred something uneasily in her gut, the fear palpable. "Stay close," she warned, stepping inside, heart pounding like a war drum. As the door creaked shut behind them, Leah took a tentative step deeper into the room. What could possibly await them in this place filled with dark memories? And then, amidst the quiet, they heard its soft whispers that slithered around them, cold and sinister. "Welcome home." Before she could react, a sudden crash echoed from below, followed by the unmistakable sound of Jamie's laughter rising, mocking the very air they breathed. They were trapped. Was there a way out? The darkness swallowed them whole, and Leah could only wonder what horrors lay hidden just beyond their reach. The attic closed in around them like a noose, tightening with every wave of suffocating silence. Leah's heart thudded in her ears as she pulled her children close. The whispers curled through the air, unintelligible yet laced with malice, wrapping around her mind with icy fingers. "Mommy, I'm scared," Jake squeaked, his voice barely rising above the whispers. Maddie pressed against her, eyes darting toward the corners as if expecting something to leap out. "Me too, honey, but we have to be brave," Leah replied, trying to inject some certainty into her voice. She felt anything but brave. The shadows in the attic twisted and writhed, shifting as if alive. Long-forgotten furniture loomed in the dark, vague shapes creating specters of their own. An old rocking chair creaked gently in the corner, rocking back and forth as if stirred by a wind no one could feel. Leah's breath caught at the sight, her instincts warning her of unseen eyes watching. "Mommy, look." Maddie pointed towards the far end of the room, where a trunk lay half hidden beneath a dusty tarp. The fabric rippled ever so slightly, as if something inside was breathing, waiting. "No, don't go near that," Leah whispered frantically. Panic bubbled inside her, a choking knot that threatened to escape. But curiosity, like a moth to a flame, urged Maddie forward, her little feet creeping across the wooden floor. "Maddie, stop!" Leah hissed, the words scraping through her throat. But the darkness had a hold of Maddie, and the girl moved closer, drawn by the whispers that now hummed like an insistent chant. "Welcome home." The words slithered through Leah's mind, wrapping around her heart. They sounded so inviting, but she knew better. With dread pooling in her stomach, she glanced back to Jake, who trembled against her side, his small body radiating fear. "Stay with me, Jake. We need to find a way out," she urged. But he was already looking toward Maddie, fear melding with curiosity. Leah took a step forward, heart racing, as she reached for Maddie's arm. "We need to go back," she said, her voice shaking. But as her hand reached out, the trunk creaked open, the lid rising slowly with an almost human deliberation. A grotesque figure emerged, shrouded in pitch darkness, its eyes glinting with malice. A face twisted and unfamiliar, but Leah knew instinctively what it represented: every hidden fear, every buried grief, all combined into one terrible entity. It grinned, revealing jagged teeth in a hollow smile. "Maddie!" Leah screamed, lunging toward her daughter, but it was too late. Maddie stood frozen, entranced by the figure, as if she were under a spell. Leah's heart pounded in despair, her mind racing. She had to break this hold fast. "Maddie, come here," she cried, desperate. The figure stretched a finger toward Maddie, its whispers wrapping around her like a suffocating embrace. Jake, sensing the rising tide of danger, shrank back. "Mommy, please," he cried, his voice high and raw. "Don't let it take her. Hold on, just hold on." Leah shouted as she stepped forward, driven by fierce instinct. She yanked Maddie's hand, pulling her away just as the whispers crescendoed, the attic vibrating with dark energy. But everything began to shake. The walls trembled, dust cascaded like rain. The figure recoiled, an unnatural rage blooming from the depths of its being. "You can't leave. You belong to me." Leah's blood ran cold. A force tugged at her, urging her deeper into the shadows. "Mommy!" Maddie cried, the grasp of the figure breaking as Leah pulled her away. Together, they stumbled back, their frantic breaths mixing in the vibrating air. But hesitation lingered. How would they escape? The door, they had to get to the door. As the laughter of Jamie echoed from below, sharp and taunting, Leah gathered her children close, steeling herself. "Run!" They barreled toward the attic door, the shadows lunging, pulling at their heels. But as she reached for the knob, it wouldn't turn. "Mommy, it won't open!" Jake screamed. The walls seemed to pulse, a heartbeat matching their rising panic. In the chaos, Leah's mind screamed for answers. What moved in those shadows? What price would she have to pay for their escape? And still, the figure lingered just out of reach, watching, waiting. "Mommy," Maddie whispered, "what is happening?" Leah's heart sank. She had no answer to give. The darkness was tightening around them, and she could only wonder, was there truly a way out? What was Jamie willing to do to keep them? The wooden door rattled beneath Leah's frantic hands, refusing to budge. A cold sweat coated her skin as terror swelled like a heavy tide crashing against the shores of her mind. "Stay back, both of you," she ordered, voice strained as she pulled Maddie close, shielding her with her body. Jake's small hand squeezed her leg, his knuckles white. "What are we going to do, Mommy?" His voice trembled, piercing through the thick shroud of fear that enveloped them. Leah felt helpless, staring into the darkness swirling just beyond the frayed edges of their reality. The figure lurked, its grin twisting deeper into the shadows, eyes narrowing with delight at their growing despair. "You can't run from what you are. You are mine." It hissed, a slithering sound that sent shivers racing down Leah's spine. The whispers grew, echoing in her mind, drowning out her thoughts. "Join us. Be free." "Mommy!" Maddie cried again, her eyes wide, filled with an unsettling allure toward the inky darkness. Leah could feel that pull, too, something rising within her heart that craved release from the suffocating weight of fear. No, she thought fiercely, fighting against it. That's not freedom. That's a lie. With every ounce of strength, Leah turned and shoved against the door one last time. It held, mocking her, while the attic began to twist and undulate like a living creature. "We won't let you go," the figure rasped, impossibly louder, as if it fed off her desperation. In that moment, clarity struck an old, sinuous thought buried deep within her. She remembered the stories, the scattered warnings from the neighbors about the house, about what lingered between its walls. It feeds on fear, it thrives on despair. She gasped, her mind racing. They weren't just trapped in the attic. They were feeding it. "Maddie! Jake! You have to fight!" Leah shouted, meeting their eyes, desperation sparking her words. "Whatever it says, don't listen. We can beat it." A flicker of resistance ignited in Maddie's eyes. "I don't want to be scared," she declared, though her voice quaked. "Then don't be. We're leaving," Leah insisted, mustering every ounce of courage she had left. She wished for a flashlight, a weapon, anything, but the only light came from her own determination. They could do this. They had to. Jake, the smallest, drew a breath, eyes shimmering with a newfound resolve. "We're not yours," he yelled, the words shaky yet strong. A flicker of defiance burst in the room, echoing amongst the shadows. The figure shrieked, a sound that shook the very core of the attic. Its eyes narrowed, fury boiling over. "You dare defy me? You'll pay for your insolence." The walls trembled, an angry pulse thrumming through the air. "Push on 3, Leah commanded, heart pounding in unison with the angry force trying to keep them. 1, 2, 3. They shoved against the door with all their might, the hinges creaking ominously. But still it wouldn't budge. The whispers transformed into a symphony of rage, drowning out everything until a single thought loomed over Leah. What if they could give it what it wanted? "Feed the darkness," she murmured, horrified at the thought. Yet a strange rush followed her words. "Come on," she spat, clutching her children tighter. "We can pretend, can't we? We can pretend to be afraid. Let it feed." The shadows hesitated, the figure shrinking ever so slightly. It flickered, the grin faltering. "Join me. Submit." It beckoned, barely a whisper now. Maddie and Jake, their fear now mixed with defiance, nodded slowly, sharing a look of understanding that united their wills. This wasn't a hopeless fight. It was a desperate survival. They jumped into the ruse together, unleashing their fears, their cries brimming with false terror. The air shifted, tension thickening as the figure hesitated, lured by the intoxicating scent of fear. Then, in unison, they screamed, "You'll never take us." The door began to give, creaking in protest as Leah pushed with everything she had. With a final shove, the door swung open, exposing the dim light of the hallway below. But before they could escape, a writhing tendril of darkness lashed out, coiling around Leah's ankle, pulling her back with a vicious strike. Desperation clawed at her throat as she clutched a scrap of the doorframe. "Run, please," she gasped. "Maddie, Jake, go, now." With each cry of anguish threatening to pull her under, Leah could only watch as her children darted down the stairs, free from the grip of the attic's terror. But would they make it? It was not just Leah that was trapped. It was a web of darkness and despair, waiting with treacherous patience for her final downfall. Time seemed to stretch into an eternity as she struggled against the pull, heart racing. She needed a weapon, something to sever the darkness hold on her, and suddenly, a shadow lunged, overwhelming her senses. This wasn't just a fight for escape. It was a fight for their souls. Would she reclaim the light, or would the darkness finally swallow her whole? The pulse within the walls throbbed with insidious joy, whispering promises of power and control. Leah could feel the truth approaching, but as the darkness tightened its grasp, she could only think of one thing: what hidden depths of despair lay behind the next door? Would it lead to salvation or further doom? Leah gasped as the dark tendril gripped her tighter, a vice of cold that suffocated hope. The shadows whispered, their voices swirling around her like a tempest, teasing her with the illusion of power, of freedom at the cost of her heart and essence. Her children were on the other side. They were free. She couldn't let that be in vain. "Maddie! Jake!" she shouted, forcing every ounce of strength into her voice. "Keep running, don't look back." She strained against the darkness, drawing her strength not just from her will to survive, but from the love she had for her children. How could she be their protector if she let the dark consume her? The vision of their innocent faces froze in her mind, the laughter that once filled their home. She closed her eyes, focusing on the warmth of their smiles. The shadows hissed, anger dripping from every breath they took. "You will be ours," they promised, cruelty rolling through the air like a heavy fog. "No," Leah roared, finding her voice amid the chaos. "You can't have us." With that clarity, she grasped for the light within her, the light connected to her children, a bond as old as time. Suddenly, a blinding flare ignited within her chest. The warmth exploded outward, pushing against the darkness, illuminating the attic in a stark, blinding light. The tendrils recoiled. She exploited that moment, ripping herself free, the pain sharp but fleeting. She sprinted toward the door, fear chanting behind her, almost begging her to look back. But she wouldn't. She pushed through, bolting down the stairs as an urgent sense of urgency coursed through her. "Mommy!" The cry was a dagger to her heart. Leah's legs pumped faster. She could hear Jamie's laughter crescendo, a sinister melody filled with torment. Leah barreled through the hall, each corner felt like quicksand, trying to pull her back. She burst through the doorway into the foyer, panting and frantic. "Maddie! Jake!" she called again, her voice breaking. The house loomed around her, dark and menacing, but she had to keep moving. At the front door, fatigue clawed at her. She reached for the knob, twisting it with frantic desperation. It clicked, but fear gripped her as it wouldn't budge. She pressed her body against the door, fueled by the fire of motherhood that pushed her to disregard the heavy shadows calling her back. "No, you'll never have them," Leah spat, her voice a fierce roar against the empty air. She could see them, a flicker of movement through a nearby window, small and bright under the deluge of the storm. The sight sparked a flicker of gratitude, giving her courage. With one last push and a shout, she heaved against the door, feeling something give. A crack appeared, widening until it burst open like a sunrise, light flooding the room. "Mommy!" Jake jumped into her arms, wrapping his little limbs around her neck. Leah caught Maddie's hand as she stumbled closer, relief spilling out as warmth cascaded over them. "Hold on. We have to go. Now," Leah urged, pushing them down the steps, rain pummeling them like a chorus of drums, hurling everything backward. Just then, Jamie's figure coalesced behind them, ethereal and enraged. "You can't escape me. You're tied to this darkness," she shrieked, but Leah was too far gone, the raw sound of her children's terrified cries pushing her forward. As they reached the porch, she felt the shadows whip around, grasping at her legs, but Leah stood firm. The light danced around them, a shield forged from sheer love and determination. "We're leaving," she shouted once more, launching herself into the unknown outside. The rain crashed down, mingling with the echoes of Jamie's rage. But Leah didn't look back. Her heart thundered as she ran, instinct driving her toward the woods with her children trailing behind. Would the trees protect them? Would anything? "Maddie, hold Mommy's hand. Keep close," she instructed, scrambling over roots and fallen branches. A flood of terror gripped the air behind them, but Leah pushed the fear aside. Their only goal now to escape into the wilderness, the very heart of the storm, where they could lose themselves in the noise. Thunder crashed overhead as they made their way deep within the woods, the shadows chasing them but unable to penetrate the storm. Leah felt the cool droplets on her skin, washing away the heaviness of the darkness. "Mommy!" Jake shrieked, pulling back as roots twisted at his feet. "We can't stop, sweetie. Just a little further." She pulled him into her embrace, gripping onto Maddie as the sound of a distant roar filled the air. The darkness hadn't given up. She could feel Jamie clawing at her soul. Leah pressed deeper into the protective silence of the trees. Finally, they reached a small clearing, a spot filled with dazzling moonlight peeking through the thick branches above. The shadows halted at the edge, an invisible barrier that shimmered between them. "What now?" Maddie panted, eyes wide. "Now we stand firm." Leah focused on her children, breathing heavily. We faced it. We faced the darkest part together. And it can't take us when we're united. As she spoke, the light shimmered with each word, wrapping around their hearts. The shadows shrieked as they paced back, chaotic and furious. Leah raised her arm. "We are more than just this darkness. Our love is our light." The word hung in the air, a spark igniting the very core of their being. And in that moment, they pushed back against the shadows that had tormented them, refusing to be bound by fear. The dark tendrils recoiled, breaking apart as the light enveloped them, sending pulses of strength flowing through their bodies. Together, as one, they erupted with laughter, love, and togetherness, an unwavering force against the dark. As the last echoes of Jamie's voice faded into the night, Leah fell to her knees, pulling her children into her arms. They were safe, alive, and free, tethered together in the light of the moon and storm. "Where's Jake whispered, torn between fear and relief. "She's lost to the darkness," Leah murmured, looking over her shoulder toward the woods. "But she'll never control us again." Pulling them closer, she felt the warmth of their bond reaffirm. It was stronger than any fear or shadow lurking in the dark. In time, they would heal, and this night would transform them. As the storm began to subside, Leah looked at her children, her fierce, brave warriors. "Let us go home. We survived, and our light will always stay with us." Hand in hand, they ventured back through the woods, firm in the knowledge that the shadows could snarl and scream all they wanted. They had faced the abyss, and they had emerged triumphant. The dawn's light broke as they approached home. And Leah knew that even if darkness walked among them, they had each other, the ultimate light that would guide their way. If you're still with me through this chilling tale, you need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss our next exclusive stories. Smash that like button to feed the ever-hungry algorithm. And let us keep this community of thrill seekers growing. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this mind-bending conclusion. What did you think? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us make sure they join us on the thrill ride ahead.